Welcome everyone to CSE meeting number 39. Goodness. So we're going to go ahead and get started with tonight's meeting. I'll be here stepping in to moderate and just help make sure this meeting runs as smooth as possible. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Norma to make our language access announcement.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Norma, voy a ser la intérprete para esta sesión y si desea escuchar la reunión en español, en unos segundos va a haber abajo un cuadrito para escoger el canal de español. Gracias.
Thank you, Norma. So I'll get us started with roll call for attendance for tonight's meeting. So I'll just call out everyone's name and just if you're here, just please give me a shout out if you're online, and then in person, I can already see who's here, but still give me a verbal confirmation. So I'll get started with Nancy Aguirre. Here. Hello. Hi. Thank you. Luna Angulo Castro. Mark is absent. Ianad Burrell. Absent. Marisol Cantu. That's absent for now. Sandra Castaneda.
Here.
Thank you. Suzanne Coffey. Here. Thank you. Michelle Gomez Garcia.
Here.
Thank you. Lisbeth Ibarra. Mark as absent. Hakeem Johnson. Mark is absent. Jeff Kilbreth. Hi.
Here.
Dr. Omatoso.
Here.
Thank you. Jessica Range. Here. Thank you. Simran Sandhu.
Present.
Thank you. Dave Savory. Absent. Heidi Swillinger.
Here.
Franklin Mungo.
Present.
Thank you. And DK White.
Present.
Okay, thank you. So that wraps up roll call for attendance. I'll just quickly mention that for tonight's meeting again, we will be using roll call voting for any action items, and there's only one action item, which is to approve our October meeting minutes. And then just another gentle reminder for folks that are in person, you know, we do have mics around the room, so just be a little mindful of any movement or paper or any sort of like side conversations. And that's pretty much it. If we could go ahead and start screen sharing the slides. Thank you. And now I'll pass it over to Dr. Matoso.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the 39th CSC meeting. We're quickly going to go through the agenda for tonight. Next slide, please. So we'll go over the meeting logistics and also agenda for tonight. And then the action item for tonight is approving the meeting minutes from October 28th. And then we'll have a review of the CSC level of engagement for the remaining strategic actions. And then a breakout activity to kind of as a group go through them and see based on the pre-read which ones we align with or need alignment with. And then we'll have a brief break before we come back to kind of where the CSC leads updates, as well as a report out from the recruitment plan ad hoc committee as well. And then next steps, the meeting details, and then open up to public comments on non-agenda items before we close up. Next slide. So kind of quick helpful reminders for successful hybrid is please raise your hand to speak, whether you're on Zoom or here in person, and say your name before speaking so everyone knows who is speaking at that moment. And we'll try and make sure only one person speaking at a time, especially here in the live room so that a lot of stuff carries with echoes and background noise. As much as possible, try to share your video if you can, especially when we move out to breakout rooms. Please try and have your videos on, and just be patient and flexible with the technology we have. If you're having trouble or any issues, either with the audio or otherwise, from those on Zoom, please use the Zoom chat or raise hand function to let us know. Someone will be monitoring that to make sure we can help figure out what's going on. Next slide. And a quick reminder on expectations as CSC members. One mic, one voice. So please, like I said, raise up your hand if you want to speak, whether you're on Zoom or in person. And let's remain open and respectful of other points of view. And we assume everyone has had a chance to review all the materials during the pre-read before today's meeting. If you need to take a break or pause, you can step away for a second. And we're going to try as much as possible to give everyone an opportunity to participate and engage. And so we had mentioned earlier, we're going to be using the progressive stack approach when we want to have questions come up or otherwise, just to make sure everyone has a voice. And we'll, like we did today, take roll call, establish quorum, and then we'll also ask for public comments before any action items. We have just one today. And then any member can make a motion which has to be seconded by another CSC member. And then I'll adjourn the meeting once more. A quick reminder for those of us in the room just to be careful with the things we're moving on the table, because it seems like they're having trouble on Zoom with background noise. Next slide, please. The meeting goals for today is one, approve the October meeting minutes. And then the second is the presentation on the CSC level of engagement review. And then the third is when we have our breakout activities, one group for those in person, another group for those on Zoom, where we kind of review the ranking of the level of engagement for the actions identified in the year one implementation plan and see if there's alignment to the lead's recommendations. And if there's not, discuss that. And then the fourth goal is to kind of go over the lead's ongoing updates. And then the fifth is a report out from the recruitment ad hoc committee. Next slide. And I'll pass it on to Allison to go over our timeline.
Good evening. Just a short review of our timeline. We're in the implementation, the orange section at the bottom of our screen. As you remember, last time we met in October, the CSC approved the year one implementation plan. So implementation activities are continuing, but we do have something really exciting to report, and I'd like to pass it to Jennifer McGovern. I hope she's in the attending this evening so she can tell us about CARB and plan adoption.
Thanks, Allison. So I'm not sure if there's anyone on from CARB right now, but we did just want to quickly share with the entire group. I think this has been shared out via email as well, but we did want to take some time during this meeting to just mention officially that the CERP has been adopted by CARB. So congratulations to everyone here and everyone online as well. Yeah, we just wanted to make a little bit of space for this and say congratulations. So anything from our leads to share?
Yay, team. That's way too quiet, but yay, congratulations everyone that got passed. And I hope you saw the email. Wasn't cute, but it got done.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you, Allison, for the timeline and that quick update. So I'll hand it back to you, Dr. Matosa.
Thank you. Yeah, congratulations everyone. I know it was a lot of hard work and back and forth, but we got that done and glad we're getting down to the work. So I wanted to quickly go about the October 28th meeting minutes. Hope everyone has had a chance to review it. And wanted to see if CSC members had any comments on the minutes from the meeting. Next slide. Any questions or comments?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, then I'll go to any public comments. CSC minutes from October 20th.
See hands from the public side.
So can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the CSC October 28th meeting?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second it. Jeff seconds. Thank you. And Carissa, can we take a roll call to approve the minutes?
Yes, you can. So I'll just read out everyone's name and you can vote by either saying yes, no, or abstain. So Nancy Aguirre.
Yes.
Thank you. Luna Angulo Castro. Okay. Ianad Burrell. Marisol Cantu.
Yes.
Thank you. Suzanne Coffey.
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle Gomez Garcia.
Yes.
Lisbeth Ibarra. Jeffrey Kilbreth.
Yes.
Dr. Matoso.
Yes.
Jessica Range. Yes. Simran Sandhu.
Yes.
That was a yes.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. Dave Savory. Heidi Schillinger.
Yes.
Thank you. And Franklin Ungo.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes pass.
Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to review the CSC level of engagement exercise, and this is for the remaining year one strategies that we wanted to do. I remember we already agreed we're going to do the just transition and also as the community benefits as the standing committees. And so this was to help us kind of figure out what level of activity we would take in these other actions that we agreed on to implement this year. Next slide. So this is kind of a quick reminder of the framework we're using for this was the IAP2 spectrum of representation that went about inform, consult, involve, collaborate, and empower. And we already discussed the standing committees we will have, which focus a lot on collaborate and empower in terms of CSC-led initiatives. And so we're going to focus more on the inform, consult, and involve. Next slide. So the pre-read, which I hope everyone has had a chance to review, goes over in detail what that looks like for the CSC in terms of our level of engagement. So in terms of informed, this is where the Air District staff will keep the CSC informed of what's going on and provide updates. And in terms of the action, what that requires, the Air District to email or communicate with us 15 days before an event or as soon as they become aware of it, whether it's an event, a workshop, public meeting that impacts the CERP. And then in terms of our level of engagement, it means that CSC members have opportunity to then join the meeting or the workshop to make public comments, give feedback, or engage in any way that will help move the CERP plan forward. And this is different from consult, where in this situation, the Air District will keep the CSC informed, but in addition to that, listen to and also acknowledge the concerns of the CSC and the community, and then provide that feedback to us afterwards on how the CSC input and community's input was used to influence the decision that was made afterwards. So in this case, the Air District will inform, present, and also have a Q&A with us, take back our feedback regarding our CERP strategies or actions, and then come back and share with us how that feedback was incorporated into whatever actions or plans were implemented. So for this, our level of engagement is to actively give feedback, ask questions, and engage with the community to also get their own feedback. joining the CSC monthly meetings or other EA district meetings that relate to this action. And then the third category, which as we go along, we see how this increases the level of involvement we have, is the involved. And this is where, with the support of the air district, the CSC will work directly with the community throughout the process to ensure community concerns and input are consistently understood and considered. And in this case, what we'll have is 2 CSC members who volunteer to work closely with the air district throughout the process of implementing this particular strategy or action. And they will bring back to the CSC how the CSC's voice and concerns impacted the implementation outcome. And so in this case, we will need at least two CSC members to volunteer to serve as representatives at whatever workshops or meetings or town halls or public meetings are going on for this process, and then report back during the CSC meeting. Next slide. Okay, so after looking through the pre-read materials and discuss, overview of what inform versus involve versus consult looks like, are there any steering committee questions about this? We will break out into groups to kind of go over all the different actions. Any questions about this framework? Are there any?
I have a question.
Any virtual?
This is helpful to lay out what each of these things mean with respect to who will do what. Is this going to live anywhere, like in the action plan or just in this slide?
Yeah, it's more of a pre-read material, so it's not in the action itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question. We
Maybe
should
we can
probably add it
pull it
to the action document or file folder.
Yeah, I think so.
Accountability.
Well, it's the framework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to take through this every time.
Mhm.
Trying to find out what that meant.
Mhm.
Okay, and I heard Marisol also in agreement with that. Okay, just a quick reminder, as much as we can, all the motion and everything we're doing is getting caught on Zoom, so they're in a lot of background.
I got stuck.
So as much as we can, try to,
Jessica said it's her eating chips, sorry.
okay. Next slide. Any public comments or any hands raised? Okay, next slide. Okay, so I'm gonna briefly go over what the breakout activity is gonna look like. Or we have a chance to kind of look at the CSC leads recommendations or what level of involvement we should have, engagement we should have for the actions. And then the activities, we'll go through all of them individually. Next slide. Yeah, so the idea is that in the breakout activity, the group will go through and look at the recommendations for level of engagement for different actions, and then see if they agree and align with what the leads have recommended. And for those that there's no alignment, kind of discuss what are the level of involvement they would like to have, if it's different, what that should be. And then we'll come back as a group and report on it. And those we align on, we kind of move aside. And then those where there is a discrepancy between the two groups, we will then have a selection with a simple majority to decide what kind of level we want it to be. So the big one is if we want to move it from a position of involve, we have to also make sure we have at least 2 volunteers that are willing to serve in that role to do that. Next slide. Okay, and so in each breakout activity we have, each group we kind of go over, like I said, which actions were recommended are in alignment, and we can move those aside and then spend time discussing those where there's a difference of opinion in what level of engagement should be, and kind of discuss what's the reasoning behind it. And also remember that if we do decide to move it up in terms of being involved, we need to also have people volunteer to take on this role. So we always have to keep in mind that this is also does not exclude people from taking part on their own as individuals. But in terms of if we're going to empower the CSE as a body to be actively involved, we do need people willing to do it. Okay, next slide. Okay, so after the activity, we'll have a report out. And like I said, those that where there's a misalignment, we will then have to select by a simple majority what level of engagement we'll have. Okay. Next slide. Any questions from the CSE about the exercise?
Yeah,
Yes,
I have,
Jessica Reed.
it's not really a question, it's more of a statement. I know you said that we need to have 2 volunteers if we elevate something to, you know, that category of involved. But I just want to remind people that we will be going through a recruitment and we have X number of vacant spots that we will be looking to fill. So it's not necessarily, think of everyone on that's here today.
That is very true. Yeah.
I strongly support that, and I just want to add one more thing. That recruiting people will be greatly assisted by having concrete things we want people to do. And the most important things we want people to do are, of course, more attractive. If you can sell somebody on joining, they're going to be more likely to join if we're saying it's really important.
Yeah. That is very true. Very true. Thank you, Jessica and Jeff. Any other comments from the CSE? Any online comments? Okay. Next slide. And any public comments? None. Okay. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to move to the breakout activity, and then after the activity is when we'll have the 10-minute break. Okay, so those that are virtual, you will be in a breakout room with Nancy facilitating.
No.
Oh, sorry, Marisol facilitating. And then those of us in person will just stay in the room here and just as a group discuss it. Thank you.
Hi, Bubby.
We'll have to figure out a way. Welcome back, everyone.
Nee, I'm gonna head out. Nancy's gonna report back. Generally aligned on everything.
Okay.
That was me, sorry.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, from the breakout. I hope you had very robust conversations like we did. And so I wanted to just briefly go through a report out from each group just to figure out where we were aligned and which ones we need to kind of take a tally on in terms of if we're going to move the level of engagement for that.
You want to start with your quick 2-minute report, or do you want to hand it to Nancy?
Yeah, I can start with it. So for our group in person, The actions we decided to, that were aligned with in terms of the level of engagement were for refining 2.6, for refining 3.8. Commercial and industrial 4.4, for refinery 2.1, for refinery 4.1, for refinery 5.1, as well as 1.2. The other ones we had requests for change. The idea was opportunity for us to all as a whole CSC be better informed about the issues and be able to give our opinions about it as opposed to just one person kind of being an expert in it. So I'll pass it on to Nancy to give a report out, and then we'll have to the ones we went to change.
All right, well, we had a great conversation also, and we aligned on all of the recommendations. We didn't have anyone say we wanted to switch anything. So the one thing, I guess I'll just move forward in what we did discuss, because we didn't have any changes in inform or consult to get involved. So one thing that we did talk about was our involved for refining 2.2 with the flaring communications on flaring events, and we were talking about Jessica, your email that we didn't get information on that, so we talked about that. And so for involved, we do talk about how involved we need 2 volunteers. So we do have one from did you guys align with that?
We wanted to downgrade.
You wanted to downgrade, okay. Heidi was willing to be a volunteer, and if there isn't anyone else willing to volunteer, then we would need to downgrade it. So if there isn't anyone interested in.
Yeah, so we'll probably have to take a tally to decide because I guess unfortunately we're missing a few CSC members today. And we talked about the recruitment piece, so
Yeah.
I think we should probably take a tally then. Okay.
All right, so you guys wanted to be consulted or informed?
Informed.
Oh, just
Well,
informed.
Oh,
consulted.
sorry, which one?
Consulted
Oh, consulted.
instead of involved.
Yeah.
Okay,
Consultants.
and not have any two.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was one of our stipulations. If there wasn't 2 people willing to be involved, then it would step down 1. So no one from in-person. Is there anyone on Zoom, CSC members, who wanted to join Heidi in field refining 2.2? If not, then we can align and make it consulted. Are there any hands? I can't see any hands. No.
I see.
Oh, I see Heidi's hand. Go ahead, Heidi.
Thanks. I just want to make a pitch to the group that I think this is an important issue, and it's an opportunity for us to maybe move the needle on how the community gets informed about flaring events. To me, this seems like an important topic, and it would be great if we could get one other volunteer so that we could use what power we have to make a difference.
Thanks, Heidi. I see Jessica's hand.
Yes, Jessica.
May I recommend that we not downgrade or change any of our thoughts on this until we have done the recruitment and we actually know if we have enough volunteers to help with some of these items? Because, you know, I hear Heidi, I hear what she's saying, you know, there's a lot of other things here, and I don't want this recruitment piece to change how we might have thought about an issue.
That's a good point too. Well, you want to put a pin in it and we can come back to it, maybe, because to your point, we do have several members who are not
Yeah.
here today. that may want to.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we might have to, hold on that one.
Okay, well, we'll start it and we'll come back to it. Put a pin in it. I always wanted to say that. I don't quite know what it means, but we'll pin it.
Yes, Jeff.
Well, and this is to Heidi. I just want to explain why the logic in moving it from involved to consult is that what is needed is really very clear and was really well established in the writing of the CERP. And so it's just an execution thing. And BACMD and Chevron have to work together to figure out how to actually execute it. And so the question is, in all these things that are listed here, is there a big need for us to be involved? And so the logic here was that this was an issue where, it's really, we want to hold BACMD and Chevron accountable for providing the information and getting it out. But we don't need to do much work for that to happen. We just need to be, getting reports. So on the progress, if you know what I mean. So in other words, I think that's clear enough. So that was the logic in us moving it to consult. Not that we weren't interested in the issue and not that we didn't want to keep heat on the issue and get the city council to put heat on the issue, and blah, blah, blah. It's just that there isn't much work for us to do other than to put heat.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, so that was one of our things. So I think, Jessica, you have make a great point. I think colleagues will pin it for now, and then we'll bring it back around next meeting to see how everything shakes out. The other one that you'll find 4.1 we have involved, we already have Lisbeth and BK doing the amendment rule in the meetings, and that's why we kept it informed, and BK's willing to continue with that. We're gonna follow up with Lisbeth to make sure. She didn't say she didn't want to, but we don't want to assume that she wants to continue. And then it looked like Frank was going to look at his schedule to also join in on that informed piece, because we already have people doing that. Was that one of the ones you all discussed? Fuel refining 4.1. We have it as involved.
Yeah.
4.1?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amend the rule 1118. We had it as involved, so it wasn't an issue. We're aligned on that.
Okay, perfect. And let's see. I think that was it. Those are the main things that we discussed because they were involved and we needed volunteers. So
wait, I'm sorry. Is this about 1118?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so I'm that's not okay with me.
What do you mean?
To be involved?
I mean, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing.
This is on page 3, FR 4.1.
Yeah, FR 4.1, yeah.
So
4.1.
Yeah. So, no. All right, yeah,
It's involved. We already have.
we already are
We
involved.
already are involved.
Yeah, okay.
We're just maintaining the involvement.
Yeah, so it was 2.6. I get confused with
Okay, got it.
Okay.
So I'll pass it back to you, Dr. McChrystal.
Okay, so now I'll request we take a tally to align on the ones where there was a misalignment at the level of engagement.
Okay. So which was the first one, you guys?
Could you go to the next slide? I'm not sure if there's another slide.
There isn't, so
Oh, okay.
What we'll do is, I'll ask folks to raise their hands if they're in alignment with the lead's recommendation. So if majority of the CSE members are in alignment with what the CSE leads have recommended, then their proposed recommendation will stay. However, if majority of them are not in alignment, which would be the ones here that we're not in alignment on, then if 50% of folks respond and say, I like that option better, then we'll move with that option. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay, so we'll just start going through each of these, and then I'll ask, are you in alignment with the original proposal, or are you in alignment with the current proposal from the CSC members?
Yes, Jessica.
So everyone on the screen has not heard our robust discussion around why we would like to change those. And so I don't know if I agree with that process right now, unless we have like a couple of like discussion as to why we decided to change it or why we wanted to change it. There's some rationale for it.
I would agree because we aligned with everything. We just need a volunteer. So I think before we can say, yes, we want to go with, because if the online group did find that what you're saying makes sense, they may want to change.
Yeah, exactly.
Their mind. Do we want to do that or?
And
because I don't.
You could also do
that
a
makes a great
poll.
suggestion.
You could send out a poll, next week. It's not a little more complicated than some polls, but it's not that hard, And
So-
it's only these 6 things.
Yeah, so I think, we have a little bit of time, I think, in the meeting now. We wanted to go through very quickly and just explain our groups, the in-person groups' rationale for why they made these decisions. Or I think we could go with Jeff's option of maybe sending out a poll, and then we can include the rationale from the notes that I took today and explain why this group decided to make the change.
Okay, how much time do we have, actually?
So
Because it has 6
right
of them.
now we're at 6:50 and we were supposed to be midway into our break right now. So starting at 6:55, we were supposed to start talking about the leads updates, but we did have about 10 minutes of wiggle room in the agenda. So I would say if folks are okay with maybe skipping the break and then having this discussion, and then we can.
Let's have the discussion. We'll do 5 minutes on discussion because I do want to know what the discussion was in here.
Okay.
Then we'll just cut the break to 5 minutes so people can use the restroom or grab something to drink or whatever. And then we can go through quickly the last part of the slides to the end of the meeting.
Okay, so
What do
we'll
you
do
think,
a
Lee? That work for you?
5 minutes discussion, and then we'll have to do an online poll after the meeting.
Probably, yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Well, we could
So,
we could
My only
do
concern
the
is 5
discussion
minutes
now.
may not be enough to go through all 6 of them. Yes, Jessica.
May I recommend that all of the ones that are informed to consent all have to do with a regulatory action that would be taken, and the rationale for moving all of those from informed to consent is pretty much the same. Then that breaks it down to just 4 things to talk, or 3 things to talk about. If we lump it that way.
That makes
Okay. We can try that. Okay, so use the next 5 minutes to,
So you want to discuss it now, but
Discuss
then
it
do you
now.
also want to do?
but then we would have to
the
do
vote
no, we won't have time to do it all 6.
To do the alignment?
Yeah.
Okay,
And we're missing. So I think it will be best to do an online poll. That way everyone, even those absent today, have a chance to have a say.
Mhm.
Or at least we'll briefly discuss the rationale behind recommending the change to level of engagement.
Can I just make a
Yes.
suggestion? I really do think you should use the time in this space to really get into the substance, and so if it takes more than 5 minutes, I mean, that's really that's the whole purpose of us coming together. I mean, I think we can, I understand the desire to Mike hold off on the voting because you don't have, not everyone's here, but I do think you should take advantage that you're in virtual, you're in person, and so everyone can hear the rationale of like, why this group decided, hey, I think for a handful of these, we should go from informed to consult. What does that really mean? Like just like in a kitchen table discussion, what does it mean? What does it mean for Jessica? What does it mean for Jeff? what does it mean for Suzanne, and then folks online can get a sense of that, because that to me, that is kind of, you're not gonna be able to get that from an email, right? Like this is where the discussion becomes alive and it motivates and ignites, and maybe someone is saying, hey, I totally get that. I actually agree and I wanna change it. Or maybe somebody will decide to provide their own rationale as to why they didn't think it should change. And that's gonna be more challenging to do over email.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So let's get started.
So the first thing I want to clarify is for the ones that you all suggested, 4.1, 1.1, 4.5. Those three are white papers. And 2.5. Those are all white papers. So from what I understand, and we happen to have Robert Case from Backman, who was able to explain a little deeper on the Zoom. White paper means that they are in the research phases of that there's no rule yet. They're in the research and data analysis and data collection. So if we move from inform to consult, that tells me, so that you all can clarify, that's telling me that you all want to be involved in the data collection and the analyzation.
Not involved.
I mean, excuse me, you want to be consulted to be more, to learn, to be more embedded in the data and analysis and research of it.
Not necessarily. A lot of these white papers have been done, or at least one we know of was done a year ago. And now they're moving into the rulemaking phase. And so that's kind of where, that's where I'm coming from, at least on the fugitive dust, that's active rulemaking going on right now. So we've missed the boat to be informed on the white paper, but now is the regulatory portion of it. And like all of these, most of these white papers, they are the precursor to a regulatory update.
Okay.
And I think the other thing we talked about was just also, because we want to be commenting on this as the regulations roll out, we want to make sure that our entire body has been informed on what the issues are, so that we can speak to it as we're interacting with the public or whatnot. So having that level of having it presented to us, so we have a clearer understanding of the issue as we take that information out to our public.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's true for 4 things. Fugitive dust, metal recycling, the marine cargo handling. I forget what the 4th one is, but the 4 things we want to change to consult are for that reason.
Yep.
So that leaves us with 2 others. One of which is on.
Is it for finding 2.6?
And so one of them was a downgrade from involved to consult, which was what we talked about with Heidi. Is that it's just there isn't a lot of work that has to be done. It's really an accountability thing. And then the other one that was a change was an upgrade, which was flaring. And the reason that flaring needs involvement, and I don't mean flaring, tell people there's been a flaring event. I mean flaring like reduce flaring at Chevron. And that for that, there are real challenges around having the public health impact really well understood from these big flaring events in particular, but also for the general load, of all the big, small, and medium, flaring events. But in particular, the big ones, like a year ago at Thanksgiving time, a year ago, just what was the public health impact? We haven't gotten a straight answer to that. It doesn't exist. And that's problem's got to be solved, but that's just the information. Then there's the question of how do you regulate it, and how, what's our goal? I mean, is our goal to get to worldwide best practice level? Well, what is worldwide best practice level? I think it's like 4 or 5. But are we agreed? I mean, you see what I mean? There's a lot of big open issues in the flaring one, and Backman has been completely passive about it forever. This is new ground for Backman, so I think we got to be involved.
Okay, those are great. That's great feedback. So the one thing that we do need to keep in mind is that if we choose to move from consult to involved, we need 2 volunteers to ensure that they're going to meetings to report back or who want to be involved. Do we have anyone on Zoom or in person who are willing to volunteer for fuel refining 2.6? That's the only way we would be able to say, yes, let's make it involved.
Well, I certainly will do that.
Okay.
And I bet I can find someone else who will join me.
Well, and as we said, we would also wait till we had
Yeah.
to fill out our recruitment
Right,
and use this
right.
as a way to look for those people.
Yeah,
No, that's,
exactly.
yes, that's what I'm saying, is maybe we can pin this one too. And then that way we can look at who would be wanting, with the new recruitment, these 2 items can be pinned. Should everyone agree that we move it forward? But that all makes sense to me, what we could do. Does anyone on Zoom have any questions or comments? And I pass it back to Dr. Matoso. Don't you all rush the mic at once.
No response.
No.
Good. Take my vibes. I'll catch up with our ad hoc stuff.
No other comments from colleagues on Zoom?
So how does everyone on Zoom, members, do any of you feel about changing 4.1 from inform to consult? I don't see hands. All right, not hearing any, I would suggest that we can do a soft check now, or we can do a poll and notes out.
Yeah, I think it's best we have them all in a poll rather than just one. Hopefully that allows people who are absent from today's meeting to also have a voice. So I think that's, yes, Jessica.
May I recommend that the include just a blurb summarizing what we said about each of one of these things?
Yes. Would agree.
Yeah, the rationale for the shift.
Awesome.
Any other comments from the CSC or questions about this?
No, I don't see
Any online? No. Okay, and then we'll open it up to public comment. Any hands raised?
No hands from public comment.
Okay, all right, so we still have time to take a break at this point.
Yes.
5-minute break. Okay, so we'll have a 5-minute break and then we'll come back and talk about the leads ongoing updates as well as recruitment ad hoc.
Okay.
Are we muted?
All right, okay, welcome back. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a quick chance to just refresh. So we're gonna move on now to the CSC Lead's ongoing updates, and I'll pass it on to our co-lead Nancy.
Hey y'all, okay, I'm looking for my paper for the updates, and I know it's up there, but I like to read down here. Okay, so your co-leads have been busy, in case you can't tell from the preview. Thank Marisol, she's the best. So a couple of things we want to start reminding everyone and looking forward to increasing this way of our progressive stack approach for volunteering and participation opportunities. So we have had external agencies reach out requesting CSC members to volunteer or participate in a study, a meeting, an event, and not necessarily they're looking for the co-lead. They're not looking for the leadership. They're just looking for members. And so we have asked that they communicate with us, and then we will put it out to all of you. And we're going to use the progressive stack when there are requests coming in. So so if you're interested, you say, oh, I want to do it, we're going to go with the youth, the whole progressive staff that we have. We have youth, and then BIPOC, and then others, and whoever after that. So we just wanted to bring that to your attention. When you see anything that goes out, we want to progressive stack it. And then we've completed our one-on-one CSC member meetings. I just want to say thank you to everyone who met with me so far. And we've completed most of our one-on-ones. And I hope you're seeing us in putting that feedback back in, implementing the feedback. So really appreciate all of your feedback, and thank you for the personal emails on things that are working. We like to know what's working so we can keep doing those things. And then Air District meeting with external agencies as part of implementation, CSC to be kept informed and involved. And I think we were talking about this earlier, even though we don't choose as a group to be totally involved or work, you know, as we were going through everything, the consult and everything, if there is an action that you want to know more about, that we as a whole CSC is not, we're not moving forward, you're more than welcome to be involved as much as you would like to be. Remember to track your hours and post them with the self-reporting. And then we met with Arsenio, the leads met with Arsenio on November 18th, and Arsenio is not a director. He is a community engagement person involved for the AB 617. So it was really great to talk with him and to start relationship building, but he's totally willing to hear about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how Air District can be more community centered. And his email, or I would say his door is always open, but his email is always open for any of you who want to reach out to him. You've been really good learning about some of the changes that he's looking to make in terms of empowering the CSC with our voice and our community and what we're accomplishing or are trying to accomplish. What he did share was that with our implementation plan and with CARB solidifying it, it is parts of our plan, our implementation plan, or our plan is being used in the strategic 5-year plan with Backman. So that's really exciting news that we learned from him. So contingency plan for CSC meeting logistics. So to ensure equity and public participation amongst all our CSC members in a hybrid space. And today is a great example. If 60 or more RSVPs are for virtual attendance, we're gonna move the meeting to just virtual. For example, today we had 3+ need in person, and we had like 8 in the virtual. Today we had a lot of time for everyone to have a chance to speak, but the meeting before that, it was a small group and we ran out of time. So what we decided as leads was, in order to support all of you and for all of you to have your voice and that we can hear from you, if for whatever reason we have less than 60%, or it's gonna make it hybrid, just make it a Zoom meeting so that we have time for everyone to have their voice and to speak and to participate. Okay, and then I hope everyone got our email with the invite for our community gathering holiday party on Friday from 4 to 6 at La Strada on Church Lane in San Pablo. That's what you all have requested. And about 15 of you said, let's do a gift exchange. So we're gonna try and do, I think we said $15 or less gift exchange. If you need a ride or you wanna ride with somebody, let us know so we can work that out, carpool situation. I'm driving, I can fit 3 if you want to ride. Okay, and I think, yes, any questions or discussions needed? More people, I see hands. I don't know, Jeff or Jessica, who,
Jeff is
okay,
first.
Jeff?
I mean, I'd just like to say that, I really like in person better. And so I hope we don't just succumb to, you know, the that it's easy for everybody has a reason to just, like, who the hell wants to drive, you know, another place to drive, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's worth it. So I mean, I'd like the leads to at least really give people a push to it. And I don't know if there's any problem with Monday night, but I mean, I'd move my schedule around, except for Wednesday nights.
Yes, no, I would agree 100%. We do like in person. We just want to make sure everyone's voice is being heard. So thank you. Jessica?
It's along the same lines. I find that I feel much more fulfilled coming in person. I feel the quality of the discussion and the interaction is something I never got on the Zoom. So I would encourage us to keep these in-person meetings. I will say this is by far a very terrible location. Not only because when you get here, you have to be quiet as a mouse, but also it takes me 45 minutes to get here, and it's not transit friendly. It takes way too long to get here, and I'm just wondering if there is another space that could be more centrally located, that is more accessible, because if I again, like most of you know, I will usually need to get a ride with someone or try to get transit because we only one car family over here. So that would be my points. If there's a more accessible meeting space, can we try to secure that?
Yes, it's on our co-lead list of things to come back to, is a meeting place. Definitely hear you. Thank you for that. I don't see.
Yeah, Heidi.
Oh, Heidi, yes.
Yeah, I remember that there was talk, and I can't remember if he actually offered it. John Joya's office, which is super close to Del Norte BART. So I just wanted to remind people that was discussed at one point.
Thank you for that reminder. Anyone else?
Thanks, Heidi. Yeah, I know we tried it once. You know, the issue was if it was hybrid, it wasn't great for those on Zoom.
And I think it's a little, it could be a little small, just straight up.
Yeah. But yes, we need to try and find other solutions.
It was super comfy in there.
Yeah.
Alrighty, next slide, please. Public comment. Do y'all see any?
No, I don't see anything.
Okay. Great, now pass it back to Dr. Matoso.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm gonna go ahead and give a recruitment plan ad hoc updates and a couple of asks for CSC members. So we met a couple of times. We're probably gonna try and meet again in January as a follow-up. And so we had a chance to kind of review and build out some outreach materials so that as we want to present to particular either organizations or different entities, we have a kind of a slide deck we can use as a starting point. And then we also reviewed a recruitment flyer email template. So this is something that you can sign to people that you would like to talk to about joining the CSC. And so we have a template which we're going to send out to everyone this week to kind of help use as a guide as the outreach to people. And then the third thing is we also review the outreach materials, not just the flyers that the district will use, but also give them feedback on the social media channel postings, which will go out when we go live and then shortly afterwards as a reminder as well. And so a couple of things we're asking all CSC members to do is one is reach out to your contacts, talk to them about the CSC and the work we're doing in terms of year one implementation plan, especially. Send the recruitment emails to them as well. Ask them if they want to join the Path to Clean email list. And then also, as much as we can, share flyers at different places we know, venues and different organizations, so that they can also try and apply to join the CSC. And also share the Air District social media posts once they go live with the application on January 6th as well. The other thing I wanted to say is we need to reach out to them now before the holidays to kind of let them know that we're doing this recruitment drive and to kind of get them engaged in the process. And then we do want you to then reach out to them again after the holidays, reminding them, that January 6th, it goes live. They should start applying for the CSC membership. And then also we're going to have a tracking sheet similar to what we used earlier, where you can put in the names of the different people or committees, organizations or entities, organizations you're reaching out to that you want to either reach out to on your own, you're going to go and present at meetings, or you want us to help present at those meetings as well. So that way we can also track the people we're reaching out to and organizations as well. And also a reminder that as you're doing all this work, also be using the self-reporting tracker to track your time spent with this. But it is that hopefully we can get this out, talk to people, send recruitment emails, share the flyers, and then give them reminder calls after the holidays when the applications go live. It will help us boost, the applicants that are suitable to do this work. Next slide. So this is kind of what the flyer looks like. It's going to be in English and Spanish as well. And so it has a picture of some of the CSC members and also has a brief information as well. So we'll be sending those out as well so people can print and have copies. Any questions or comments from the CSC? Yes, Jessica?
Is it possible to get a stack of printed flyers? Yes, thank you.
We have it.
I knew you would.
Nancy?
I want to give a shout out to the recruitment ad hoc, to Jessica, Ianat, and Suzanne, who's been really helpful in the editing and making sure that our flyers, as community friendly as it could be, we still have back then protocols to deal with, but they've been doing a great job with all of that. So I just want to say thank you to the ad hoc for all their extra work. And the applications do go live. It is on the flyer. The application does go live January 6th. through January 26th. And we'll be sending all that out probably in the next couple of days. So look for those links and we need hard copies. Let
Let us
someone know. Let us know. We'll let the staff know. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, Jeff.
Just a question about the time period.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand doing this in waves, but I can understand also getting some people interested, but not being able to close them, by January 26th or whatever this date is. Will people be able to, apply later? I mean, is this an evergreen process or a once a year process?
Yeah, I think that's something we'll have to decide, based on how many people we get this round, this cycle. I think that will kind of influence how frequently we have to do this,
And we're looking for 5 or 6 people
at least.
at least.
Yes.
Other comments or questions? I mean, if there's anyone online with a hand raised. Any other comments?
Just FYI, the last meeting we had about recruitment and those who said they're willing to help in one way or another, we'll be following up with you. Like if you're willing to hand out flyers or talk to someone, but not be on ad hoc, we'll be following up with you. Thank you for jumping in.
Next slide. Any public comment? No. Next slide. Okay, so next meeting will be after the holidays. So it's set for Monday, January 27th, same time, 5:30 to 7:30. And for now, we'll be at this same location. So we'll continue to walk and see what other more accessible locations we can use for future meetings. Because I know that's a very important thing, having us in person makes a big difference. All right, and next slide. Any public comment on non-agenda matters? Okay, then I think 7:26, we'll call that 39th meeting to a close.
Just want to make a quick announcement before we break, but for the self-reported stipend hours for the month of December, the deadline will be Friday, January 3rd at 5 p.m. I included it in the email that I sent out today, reminding folks for this meeting, but I'll send out some emails in the coming weeks too.
Just a quick thought on the possible places that we could meet. The Richmond Auditorium, it's really underutilized. And it not only is the big theater, underutilized, but they have a couple of side rooms that are quite big. In fact, BACMD used them during the earlier monitoring, and I think those rooms are okay. Those not the big auditorium, the side rooms. And I don't know if they give you a special break, but I don't think they're terribly expensive, to the normal list price. And we do have connections with the city, so maybe we could get a special discounted price. But that's more central. It's not quite walking distance from BART. I mean, or at least at night, it's not wonderful. I mean, it is technically, but
yeah. Okay.
That's a great idea. If anyone has any other ideas with that, please shoot us an email so that we can follow up on those suggestions.
Thank you very much, everyone.
where do you live?
I'm in.
Yes, we're done on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pásalo.
But now you do, right?